This is the Dueling Piano Players Podcast, episode 19.
You are listening to the #1 rated Dueling Piano Players Podcast with your hosts, Joel Randolph and Johnny K. Joel and Johnny invite you to join them online at duelingpianoschool.com and get the edge in the dueling piano world. And now, here are your hosts, Joel Randolph and Johnny K.
Welcome to the Dueling Piano Players Podcast, where we help you get the edge in the dueling piano world. My name is Johnny K.
I'm Joel Randolph.
Hey, Joel.
I'm Josh Levison.
Hey, Josh. What's up? We're having a little threesome here.
All right. Via internet. Go figure.
And we're also hoping this video comes out, too. We're doing this with video as well today. So if you're listening to the podcast, hopefully we'll have the video version of this podcast up there, too. So what's the point of doing the video, Joel? It's really bright where you're at. I can't see anything.
Yeah, you probably can't see too well behind us, but that's just palm trees and wonderful Mother Nature. Josh and I are down here on the beautiful Gulf Coast in Orange Beach, Alabama.
Man,
just watched some Leonard Skinner and ZZ Top on Saturday night. Sunday night.
Far out.
It was. And as Skinner ending their tour right here in Sweet Home, Alabama.
Oh, well, that's nice. That's appropriate. And for the summer, what are they going to do all summer now? Party?
I don't know.
Yeah.
ZZ Top wore 'em out, must be.
I'm still stuck in my air conditioning studio, which is why it's still dark on this side of the camera. But, well, hey, we missed the podcast last week, Joel.
Oh, yeah.
And,
I was getting stuff around. I had to fly out to Seattle and play. That was fun.
Yeah, I think it was right before that. Well, actually, you were gone to Seattle for the weekend. I was in another town in Florida. I picked up just a one-night gig, and I was calling you and texting you about it because I was like, man, we should talk about these gigs that we've been playing.
Completely different.
Yeah.
Going from one side of the country to the other, from the south to the north, and from the east to the west. That was a completely different show I put on out there.
Yeah, and you know what? The kind of show that I normally do got put to bed a couple Saturdays ago.
You got to have some fun, I hear.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun pulling out just all the original like dueling piano bits. It was one of those situations where you get into a club that has never seen the gig, they've never been a part of it, so all of a sudden you've got everything. You've got your entire bag of tricks to go through. And
you got to start remembering how to use some of those tools, too.
Well, that's true. But, 4 hours and $650 cash later.
I'll take it.
And I think that's, it's nice to have that happen. And it's nice that you're sitting there on the beach in Orange Beach, Alabama, just enjoying the Gulf Coast and the sunshine. Because I think a lot of guys getting on the site are going, what's the point? Why are we doing this? Well, this is one of those episodes. This is why you're doing it. Because of $650 nights and because of getting to go places like the Gulf Coast and chill out under palm trees all day.
You know that. And if you're working the same job and you don't live somewhere like Orlando like Johnny does or Orange Beach, Alabama like we do, then I guess you need to sign up and take some of our courses.
All right. And Josh has been there a long time. In fact, Josh, you've gone a lot of places, haven't you? Where have you been? You've been all over the country.
I've been all over. I started out in Raleigh. I played some on the coast in North Carolina and Wilmington. I went to Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona, played there for a little while. Played in San Diego, in LA, played in Las Vegas. Las Vegas is where I spent a lot of my last year. Cool. And then ended up went to New York for a little while, and then came down to Orange Beach.
New York to San Diego.
He ran a dueling piano school diploma all across the country and back.
Yeah. I got the chance to see a lot of different shows, a lot of different atmospheres, different stages, different crowds.
Your show certainly changed when you came back. I mean, improved in a big way, but you had some stuff that you were bringing to it that you didn't just pick up from the local guys.
Mm-hmm.
Head in the game.
That was kind of one of my goals too. Going around is getting different take on what was going on, seeing how different people were doing the show and how the audience was responding, to those different things.
That's cool, man. And, you get a lot of experience just from traveling around. I mean, you make a bunch of money. You get to meet a lot of cool guys. You get yourself in some crazy 4 o'clock Waffle House stories. But,
I didn't know they had a waffle side on that end of town, Johnny.
No, not over here, actually. We got Denny's across the street.
Right.
But, hey, whatever. We went to Perkins on my birthday a couple of days ago, so...
nice.
That was a nice breakfast. Yeah, Perkins is like you don't have to eat for the rest of the day.
Right.
I
thought it might be good to share with some of our listeners some of the different stories and things that we've run into. When you're used to playing one particular type of gig, and then all of a sudden, from out of nowhere, here you are stuck in a different place, and you better know what to do.
Right. Well.
So I think it's one of the things that you need to think about are who are you playing for, and another thing is what tools do you need to satisfy that. So why don't we talk about what some of those things are? Who would you say we'd be playing for, Johnny?
Well, we're playing for ourselves. We're playing for other players. The idea behind that is if you got to get along with the guys that you're working with and make the night interesting, turn each other on, so to speak, musically. So you're definitely playing for the players, but the audience has to come first, right? I mean, you're entertaining a crowd.
Sure, but we can't forget our clients either, the people that hired us to play there.
No.
And, it's interesting you bring it up that way, Johnny, players, audience, and clients, because they all say that they want the same thing, but they all mean something different when they say it.
Yeah.
And I think it's good our listeners get a little exposure to what kind of stuff they can run into so that they're ready for it. Like you need to, obviously musicality is part of your show, and we've done a lot of talking about that. And showmanship is going to be part of your show too. And we've done a lot of discussing that. But what you're looking at with musicality, your current tunes and your classic tunes, you need to be well versed in both. And now that doesn't mean that every club is always going to have both. Down here where we play on the Gulf Coast here, it's a lot of old timey, a lot of country. I mean, that good home, and you lay back and play it smooth. And, some of the current tunes go over, of course, but that's not where our base is. Now you switch to a college town, go back up to Raleigh, You better be playing some CeeLo and some Hannah Montana or whatever that chick's name is.
Bruno Mars, that chick.
Yep.
You got to have a lot of good songs in your bag of tricks. You got to know some of the old stuff, but know some new stuff. And it's nice to have what I call back pocket songs. You're not going to play every single night. Like one of my back pocket songs is "TikTok" by Kesha. It's not a classic song by any stretch of the imagination. It's not even cool enough to be current, but you never know when somebody's got $20 and an urge for some white trash music. And so Kesha comes out, and and that's the kind of instance, if the crowd's dancing or whatever, if, like you said, it's college town or even some of the resort places will get those kids in there for spring break. Then you got to have some of that newer material. It's good to stay current, but yeah, a lot of the places you go, they're relying on the classics. I mean, Brown Eyed Girl and Margaritaville and Piano Man and American Pie are all 40-year-old songs or more. And so that's definitely a classic song. It's definitely good to have some current songs in your back pocket. So.
Well, and you don't necessarily have to have an entire show. You're going to always have your own show, but you need to have some different sprinkles to put on it for the different places, I think is a good way to look at it, don't you?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I was laughing at the airplane flying overhead. I was like, that's going to be nice on the podcast. Musicality speaking, you got to have energy and you got to have some authenticity. But what do you think the major difference between I love the way that's put too, energy versus authenticity.
Right.
Obviously. Go ahead. I want to hear what you have to say because I had a thought about that.
Well, you've got, again, your bag of tricks. You got to know what you're trying to accomplish when you play a song. And we've been using Sweet Home Alabama as an example because you've got a video of it up there and I've got a video of it up there. Mm-hmm. And they're both successful methods of playing the song. By the way, so I just saw Skinner. Neither one of us is right. But that guy dresses like me and plays like you. So, yeah. But, let's use that as an example. If at one time of the night, you're just getting people warmed up. You want to play songs that they know, but they aren't going to get all fired up and sing along. I mean, that's a perfect song to play, and you might do it differently than if it was 12:30 on a night and you're trying to rev all these people up and get them going. You might play it in a completely different manner, but it's the same song, but you're using it for a different purpose.
Right, exactly.
So energy versus authenticity. Am I trying to, be a jukebox and do the best cover of this song that I can? Or am I going to push that aside because I'm going to use this song to do a little something different right now?
Well,
and you might run.
That's the same kind of thing where, somebody takes a song. I'm going to play this song right now, and that's what's going to get the room going. And it's a process of overthinking where they play it and they expect this huge response, and then it doesn't work. Where if they just went with the energy of the crowd, they could feel out, this would be a better song here. So pick a better song that's actually going to go with the energy. Don't just think, well, I'm all revved up, so they should be too. Maybe they don't want to be. And that's where you're lacking the authenticity.
Right. And another thing that you have to think about when you're discussing who you're playing for is not only the musicality, what songs you're playing and how you're playing them, but your showmanship and how you look to the crowd, how you interact with the crowd. And there are some different ways of thinking about that. Some people might just be funny. So you better know some jokes if you're playing somewhere that's a funny type of show. I can give you an example. A guy that I used to play with, and where we were, it was I think you played with us too at that time, Johnny. But we were doing a real musical show back then. We had lots of harmonies, good piano players, everybody sang.
Nothing wrong with that.
Well, almost everybody, but this guy came in and he was not the best singer or player, but boy did he know all kinds of funny, just trivia questions and ridiculous songs that people haven't heard in 40 years.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, he was funny. He was just really creatively funny, but yeah, he wasn't the strongest musician.
Well, he added a really strong element to our show because the rest of us were focusing more on the music, at least at that time. So, what a great way to use, his talents to our advantage. Then he went to work for a different chain years later. I think you went and played that one. And out there, they were told, hey, we want every song to be a funny song, bit.
Right.
And so you better have enough, if you're coming from my training school, you probably got left a little behind when you went out to a bit place, as he got trained doing bits, and got a little left behind when he came to my place. Hopefully we both, grown in our show as a result of playing together. But that was a really in-my-face difference of what kind of shows, and they're both successful, but boy, in one club we're doing this one, and in another club we're doing this one.
Yeah, and some of those, they work on a regular basis, but, as far as being interactive with the crowd and being funny, instead of, just throwing a bunch of bits at them, sometimes you just have to naturally be funny. But I think we talked a podcast or two about that, where you're just not going to be naturally funny if you try to be naturally funny. That's not something that happens overnight.
Right.
I feel like a lot of it too is just letting your, depending on what it is, letting your personality out at certain moments, and letting your authenticity shine, and let people see that you're not just a machine playing songs, but that you actually have something going on.
Well, that's what makes it, when you can learn some of these other bits, as you start breaking it apart and trying to decide what type of show it is you're playing. And you've learned, okay, from watching other people or from listening to us or talking to your own entertainment director or other players, these songs are good for this. You'll meet a lot of old veteran players that in their song books, their songs are broken down, and we've talked about that too. This is my funny songs. These are my crowd interaction songs. That's essentially their bag of tricks.
They're categorized.
Yeah, and it's good for you to know what that is. In fact, I don't do it, but I strongly recommend, especially with people who are still getting their feet wet in this type of situation, that you do that. Break your song list down so you know exactly what's in your bag of tricks, and then you can apply it to what are the players I'm playing with? What do they want from me? What does my audience want from me as far as right now and what's going to happen later? And, of course, you can't forget those clients, those people that are paying us to be there. What do they want?
Right.
And So what tools do we need then?
Well, I used to make a cheat sheet. For as far as a tool goes, I used to make a cheat sheet with different categories on it, like college songs, country songs, early in the night kind of stuff, build-up songs, something to energize the crowd, which, when I couldn't think of these things off the cuff, and that was my bag of tricks. But that was my way of getting organized, because after a while, I just started remembering what those were. But it's a good way to get organized. But the tools, I think, are the songs. I mean, specifically, what songs, current songs or the classic songs, like we mentioned before, those are your tools. Or the bits. The bits are your tools. The jokes that go with the bits or that go with the personality, that's all, that's just another tool sitting in the bottom of the bag. But you never know what you're going to reach in there and grab some night. I haven't done toasts in 2 years. And a couple of weeks ago, dude started pouring drinks down my throat, and all these toasts came out of my hidden subconscious mind that I had no idea where they were, but they were at the bottom of the bag of tricks that,
nice.
Hey, these are funny again, I can use these.
Did you get the right punchlines with the right setup?
Yeah, here's the living single and the girl in the little red shoes and everybody swallow. Yes. Because without them, boobies would be pointless.
Right.
Yeah,
who needs that?
That's funny. No.
Yeah, it's good for you to know.
I got them right.
Right. Good. It's good for you to boy. Maybe we could start putting up some forums. There are forums out there already. Maybe we'll just find them and put them on here. But of some toasts and some good jokes that can be told. I can't really say you should know 10 toasts and 4 jokes, but, have at least 2 or 3. So if you walk in, you have something. What else? You gotta be prepared for how you look and how you act on stage, how you represent yourself. Your image is another tool that you're going to be required to use, and you better have a couple, 2, 3 tools to fit the different, spots you got to work on there.
Yeah, your image is everything. It's how they're going to look at you from the beginning of the night. And if you get up there and you're really shy and you're timid, and this is just your personality, this is the way you're acting on stage, you're probably not going to get their attention. But, I was playing in a bar full of rednecks, so I got up there looking a little trashy myself, some black T-shirt and some jeans. Hey, everybody, what's up? How y'all doing tonight? And getting playing the music and just high energy right out of the gate. And they're like, oh, okay, we got something to watch now. And, it was kind of a highly anticipated show. They sold tickets to the event, which was kind of cool. $10 a pop, 150 tickets. Bar owner is very happy to have us back next month.
Nice. The flip side of that, I played a corporate show in Raleigh for the Chamber of Commerce. They hired a dueling piano show on purpose, but they wanted background music. We did not talk or say a word or request or take any request or anything. We knew what songs they wanted to hear. We just played them. We got paid real well. Bust on out of there.
Done plenty of those. Absolutely. It really depends on the event that you're at. Well, what you're doing. You're definitely catering to your audience and your client. So that's how you're going to figure out what your image is going to be that night. And it's good to have a bunch of different personalities in your bag of tricks.
I know Josh has a bunch of different personifications of himself, and we never know which one's going to show up, which shirt we're going to get to make fun of. He wore capri pants to work this week. He's entertained. Yeah, Kim, my girlfriend, was wearing the same pants. It's ridiculous.
He told me that. He came in and he said, yeah, Kim, you got matching pants on with Kim today.
Yeah, you didn't quite fill the shirt out.
Yeah.
But
he did say he was a sexy man, so.
They all did, it worked, but whatever. You've got, one agent gave me a good piece of advice, and he was talking more about corporate gigs, but you might, if you're a traveler, do this, and certainly if you're playing at home, have this, but you should have a suit. You should have just kind of a dressy but a little flashy that's not the coat, and then you should have your rock and roll gear, and you should take that with you everywhere you go, because you don't know what you're walking into. Of course, we talked about the traveling musician a while ago, and you should know where you're walking into before you get there, but
yeah, that'll help you pack. But hey, if you don't, if you're driving around the country gig to gig, have a garment bag hanging up in the back seat. You never know. Now, hopefully, the guys that are listening to this, our students, aren't traveling around the country too much. If they are, good for you. But a lot of the guys that we know we've talked to have house gigs. So, definitely know what kind of crowd's coming in every single night too. You might have an upper class crowd and then a lower class crowd, and not to talk about classes. I mean, one might not be white trash night and the other night might be corporate night. And you need to know what kind of image you need to portray to that crowd on any specific night.
Some of these corporate gigs that I'm getting set up with are tours. Well, you go for 2 or 3 weeks, and I'm not kidding. You come home with $10,000.
Yep.
But you get with some of these event planning groups across the country, and they're not going to send you all the way out to Oregon to do one date if they can get with some other people and combine the travel expenses between the midst of them, so you get paid a little less per gig, but you do 10 of them while you're out there instead of one.
Right.
You don't know if you're going to a college fraternity year-end party, or if you're going to a Lenovo Computers $1 billion celebration dinner, which Josh and I got to do here in Raleigh last year. It bought me this computer that we're talking on right now.
Very nice.
Yeah. So, and when you're doing traveling like that, where you're going from gig to gig to gig, instead of just going to a club for 2 weeks, then you certainly need to have, your image bag of tricks with you.
Well, I'll tell you what, there's a place in the Midwest that, Joel, you and I have both played and in the last few years, and they have a club in, one state, and then they have 2 or 3 clubs in the other state right above it, and each of those clubs, of the 4 clubs, they have a different crowd in every single one, and they rotate all their piano players through all 4 of those clubs. So everybody has to come in with a different mindset in whatever room they're in. I mean, if you're in the resort town, then you might be playing show A, and then if you're in Little Rock, you might be playing show B. I mean, it really depends. And the point is to, be an actor, be able to have a bunch of different hats you can wear, a bunch of different personalities, and have different shows in your bag of tricks.
Speaking of different hats in your bag of tricks, I've seen some people who travel with their own props and stuff. Yes. Different goofy hats, and we've had some discussion on our site about different people using props and stuff. Man, that is always a big seller. You can take a song that used to be just a song, Tina Turner, give her a wig and a tambourine, call somebody up on stage, and suddenly it's a bit now. Mm-hmm. So in the beginning of the night, it was a song because that's what you needed. Then you probably played it very authentic to the original. Later on, you needed a bit to happen, so you played the same song, but you might have cut out a verse and added a different thing,
right, because
you had somebody being Tina Turner. If you can find a way to bring around some different, I don't care what gimmicks they are, devil horns for Devil Went Down to Georgia is a real popular one. There used to be
giant cowboy hat.
Yeah,
giant foam cowboy hat. I want one.
Some people used to, put a wig and a bra on a guy to sing When He Dressed Like a Woman for Me.
Right.
That type of stuff.
The boa and the big glasses for Elton John.
Right.
Sure.
Right. That type of stuff is a real easy way to transform a song from am I background music, or am I now star of the show, or is whoever you brought up star of the show. But that's a kind of a thing, an actual bag of tricks that you could take with you.
A physical bag of tricks with actual tricks in there.
It's a literal bag of tricks, Rob Legier. Literally.
Don't worry about Rob. It's just a stage.
I got more to tell you.
Has he gotten hit to that yet? He's not listening to the podcast yet, is he?
No.
Oh, okay. So we can just talk about him as much as we want.
Right.
We said that when Joel gets back to Raleigh, the guy that's there now filling in, everybody's going to be doing the same thing that guy did as soon as Joel gets back. And I said, don't worry, it's true, it'll happen. But so what are you going to be in Alabama for the summer?
Yeah, I don't.
Man, that sucks. How do you deal with that?
Like this?
Oh, okay.
I sit out on the porch and smoke a cigar and talk with you on Skype.
Nice. Josh, you've been there for a while. You like it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's awesome. I've been down here. My first night at this club, when I moved down here was New Year's Eve, and it's been great ever since. So, club's good, and the guy that I'm working with down here, Paul, and I have just been, doing very well, getting better and better, and tighter and tighter with our show. So.
Here they come. Here they come.
A lot of heat exhaustion down here. Too much sun.
I just heard the cops in the background. They're coming for you. Look
That's
out.
right.
And,
Oh, boy.
They announced on the internet where I was. I did that.
Oh, no.
he's got a bloody nose.
Well, hey, do we want to recap this then? I think we talked about everything as far as the bag of tricks.
Yeah, you need to know, figure out who it is that you're playing for and with, and what kind of show they're after. The players, the audience, and the people that are paying you. And you need to be aware of your own bag of tricks. And like you said, Johnny, break that up and organize it so it's laid out in your toolbox right where you can see it, And don't think, listeners, that just the stuff that we talked about here, that's all we could come up with to remember to say to you about. When you're watching shows, be looking at your own angle. What kind of stuff do you see going on different from one club to another? And I think I've mentioned before, Johnny, the entertainment director that I worked under to begin with, pointed out to me very valuable, important information. He said, "You're very good at this stuff right here, and that represents about 30% of your audience. You need to know," and he wasn't talking, it was the audience at the club where I was playing, it was 100% of that audience. He's talking about the audience that you're going to be playing for the rest of your life.
Right.
And you better learn some of this other stuff. And that's where I started realizing you need your bag of tricks.
Yeah. Well, and that was when we played together, when we were working together, you were always, above and beyond anything that I could ever compete with. It's like he just knows this room better than I do. He's been doing this for 20 years. And then a couple years later, we end up in the same room somewhere else, not in Michigan. And you're struggling now to keep up with me because I know what the room wanted, and I had that bag of tricks. You're like, oh, damn,
right on.
I gotta keep up. So, I mean, it's not who's better than the other. It's who's got their head in the game, and I think we should mention that line every time we do a podcast because I think that's one of the most important things we've ever said. Keep your head in the game, and that's it for this week, right?
I think so.
All right. Well, Josh, I'm assuming you're going to be around there all summer too, so hopefully we'll have you on another podcast again with us.
Definitely. That'd be awesome.
Always a pleasure, brothers.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
You got it. And we'll see you next week right here on the Dueling Piano Players podcast from duelingpianoschool.com. And,
peace out, y'all.
We'll see you.
All right.
Josh, Joel, Johnny K. See you.
See ya.
You have been listening to the #1 rated Dueling Piano Players podcast. Join us now online at duelingpianoschool.com and get the edge.